What's up guys, back to another Honkai Star Rail video. In this video we're going to go over what is the best type. Now when I say what is the best type, instead of referring to what the types do, I'm going to refer to the units in them, as if you try to sort by types, it's really like kind of hard, right? Because imaginary, like technically, because it slows them, I guess, but like they're not doing anything like too different like break-wise. It's normally just DOT, so you can't really rank them there. I'm gonna rank them based off of how good are the characters on their team. Do note this does not include mono teams. This is just, you know, imaginary. Some teams do work very well together though. As of right now, it's really just Quantum and Fushuan and Link's Drop and then Lightning. Imaginary is also like great, but let's get into the video. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, as always. You know, helps me out a bunch. But let's get into who is the best type. Well, like I say, you know, should be pretty obvious. I feel like Imaginary definitely is the best type at the moment. That is basically because, let me grab Yukong. We have a really, like, she's not like the greatest support, but she is a rather, you know, good support. Then we have a really good debuffer, slows units, right? He also can dish out some damage. Then we have the best healer in the game, and then we have the best DPS in the game. Kind of hard to beat that. Like, there's not a bad unit on Imaginary yet. Like, I'd probably say Welt would probably be the worst, right? Just because you don't need him compared to, like, you know, Yukong gives crit rate, crit damage. Lucha, just make sure you never die. Don Hang one-shots everybody, right? But they're all really good. If we had like a 4-star instead of, like, I don't know, I feel like even if you, like, you can't add it, like, there's too good. Even if you take out Welt, right? Like, they're still just so good. I feel like if you just only had Don Hang and Lucha, I'd probably dock them a little bit just because they don't have like too many options, but they kind of just like have really good characters. I'd imagine the next Imaginary is not going to be as crazy, hopefully. Otherwise, they'll probably just stay at the top. Then in A, this should be pretty obvious, is Quantum. They're very, 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 very close, I think. The only reason I don't have them higher is because, right, Silverwolf is definitely a better debuffer than Welt. Zele is, you know, good, but she's not Don Hang level. Funny RNG lady over here. I'm not a huge fan of her. I'm not gonna be like, not gonna lie, but still very, very good. 4-star for DPS, right? And then we are getting Lynx, which is a really good healer, not Lucha level, but a really good healer. And then we're getting Fushuan, which is like going to be the preservation unit. Like, you could probably argue that they're tied, right? So I'd actually, you know, I'd be willing to do this, right? Put them both in S. This is with Fushuan and Lynx added as well, because they pretty much just have a slightly like worse Don Hang, slightly worse Lucha, a better Welt, and then, you know, you can do this, and then they also have preservation unit, right? So I'd say, funny enough, the two non-DOT types are the best. But I mean by that is every other type does, like, well, I guess, you know, ice freezes, right? But you get what I mean, right? I'd be willing to put them in S though. Very, very broken units. If I had to take a guess, I probably would have guessed these two would have been the most broken one off of just like looking at the typings, right? Because there's your basic like RPG elements of, like, you know, fire, wind, ice, water, ground, stuff like that, right? And then they had like Quantum Imaginary. I was like, surely they're gonna be broken, right? But anyway, let's go on to the next one, which I think should be also pretty obvious, which is Lightning. Now, Lightning probably has like the most coherent team. That's not like Quantum at the moment, because you have a healer in Bailu, right? You have Kafka, you have Tingya, and people run Servo like as an actual team, but that's not the point of the video. We're looking at the units in it. They have Bailu, which is a good healer, no cleanse, but still really good healer. They have Kafka, which is still a very, very, very good DPS. I'd say she's probably, what, like top 3 DPS. You can always argue it, I guess, but she's still very strong. Jingyun may be regarded as the worst premium unit, but he still whips out some good damage. Arlen, no comment. Serval, very, very good, like, free-to-play option for AoE. And then Tingyun is if Rana didn't exist, she would be the best buffer. Actually, insanely good unit. So good. I use her on like every team I can. She's always on my Memory of Chaos. I think she has the highest Memory of Chaos usage rate out of any character, so that should say something. Very good. Like Arlen, I wouldn't say he brings it down, right? But I feel like every unit in here has a very good role to play. They might not be the best in their role, right? But they're like just a very good all-rounded typing. Then the next one, this one's gonna be a little rough, but I do think that Wind is going to take it. Now, my argument for this, right? Because now we're getting to like the argument stages. I think top 3 teams, Lightning, Quantum, Imaginary, you can't argue that. They're just way too good. Blade, very good DPS. Bronya, the best buffer, right? Donheng, very good free-to-play option, 4-star. And then Sampo, you know, he's not crazy, but he is used on Kafka's team to help DOT units. So he gets like an honorable mention, right? He's like comparable to probably a little bit less than Serval, I guess, because Serval can be used just normally, but still a very good unit. They're missing like a unit or two to help him out to reach Lightning's level, but still very good units here. I'd imagine the next like Wind unit we get would probably propel them closer to A with Lightning, but as right now they just are lacking units wise because they only have 4 units, unfortunately. And they're not like, you know, the best of the best. Well, Bronya is, but unfortunately no one else is. That's how Quantum is able to overtake, as they have just such high valued units. Well, I guess they do have one extra one because Lynx have Fushan. But anyway, regardless of that, now this is where it gets a little bit tricky, right? Personally, I think wholeheartedly that I don't know if this is a bit biased, but I think Ice is the next, and then we'll go ahead and rank it. I think Fire is next up. Oh, I forgot about Pila. Almost forgot about Pila. Very good unit. The reasoning for this, right, is because Ice, right, has Pila, very good. I haven't raised her, unfortunately, yet, but I've only heard good things about Pila. Very good unit, like a mini Silverwolf, in a sense, for the whole defense reduction. You aren't using your skill points over and over with her. March 7th is very good, you know, has the taunt and the shield, also counterattacking, can freeze, right? Herda, AoEs go crazy if you haven't built up. Yanqing is very good single target DPS, and then Jeopard has a shield. You know, it doesn't really do much else besides, like, I guess the freeze. If you don't have E1, it is a bit RNG based, but still a solid lineup. They aren't like, with the fall of our funny boy over here, they don't really have what it takes to get close to B. At least I don't think. Like, Blade is going to be better than Yanqing most of the time. Bronya, there's no, like, is better than Pele. Like, I know they do different things, but if you only had one, Bronya would definitely be better. Donheng is not as good as Yanqing, but I've seen him put out numbers that can be higher, so, you know, you can argue that. And then you have Sampo versus, I guess, like, Herda and March 7th, but, like, you know, I don't think they're beating the other 2 5-stars in this to be better than. Still not bad, right? But clearly lacking very good units to get up with B. And then D, we have Fire, right? Now, the reason for this is Hook can do some decent damage. Himiko, everyone prays under the sun. She's crazy good. I mean, she's not bad, but she's clearly doesn't have the same tools as some of these other units do that are higher up. The Trailblazer is a pretty decent preservation unit for a shielder. If his shields are like a little bit better, like in all honesty, if Trailblazer had a bit beefier shields, I'd probably say Fire is better than Ice. I would argue it, right? Because Asta and Pele are comparable, right? I hate how it does that. Hook and Herda will just like cancel them out, pretend they don't exist, right? Then you have Himiko, which, you know, Yanqing is better than him single target, but Himiko can go crazy with the AoEs. And then I'd say, you know, March 7th is out of the race compared to Jeopard and these two. And if the Trailblazer had better shields, I'd say he's better than Jeopard because he has a taunt. And then you could argue it, right? But unfortunately, Trailblazer has littler shields, so I'm gonna have to knock him. Asta, amazing unit. She deserves to be like way up here, but it is what it is. Don't worry, Asta. When we get more fire units, you'll go up. You and Topaz will probably raise it up a bit higher. And then Hook is just your solid 4-star DPS, right? And then that leaves physical. So the issue with physical is one, it has the awful Trailblazer on it. Luca doesn't really have a super crazy place in the meta right now. Natasha is a free healer. However, she is also the worst healer. She just has a cleanse going for her. So, that's nice, right? Su Shang is probably one of the better 4-star DPSs, but you also have to break the enemy, which means if you're not fighting something that's weak to physical, you have to have something on your team that breaks enemies. And I feel like there's so many other units you can get more value out of, especially since if you can't break the enemy or you only have like one DPS that is say you're running Don Hang and Su Shang together for whatever reason, right? If Don Hang's the only one hitting the toughness, to be fair, he shreds through toughness, but Su Shang's not going to be able to take advantage of her E always doing a little like follow-up attack afterwards. So that is the issue with Su Shang. And then you have Clara, which is very, very good unit, but Blade is better. So, when your best unit in your typing is already walled off by Blade, who is, in the 4th place team-wise, kind of hurts, right? I feel like they'll definitely get better units over time, but the units they have are just not crazy enough to really push them anywhere. Let me know what you think in the comments. I just thought this would be a fun video to see what typing needs the most help, right? Because realistically, if you're trying to have a really good unit in each type, there's so many options for Imaginary Quantum. There's so many options for Lightning. There's a couple options for Wind just because there's only 4 characters, right? And then it kind of just drops down to, out of these characters, you'd build Clara and Natasha only. For D, you'd probably only build these 2. For Ice, you'd probably only build 3 of them. Wind, you'd probably only build 2 of them, but they are really good. Lightning, you'd build 1, 2, 3 of them at least, maybe 4 if you have Jin. Quantum, if you have them all, you're building almost every single unit. And then Imaginary, if you have these 2, you pretty much just win the game at that point, right? You'd probably build Welt too, right? But they're just way too OP. They're just way too OP. So it's they're almost not even in the running just because of how good they are. But yeah, no, it just sucks that the lower you get on the tier list, that's less units you're going to be making from that grouping. Heck, I'd argue if you have most of the units in the game, you're probably not raising a big chunk of the units that are past A. You'll build Bronya, Pila, Asta, and probably not even Natasha at this point, really, or Clara. That's just because, well, I guess if you have Silverwolf, you probably aren't building Pila at all, or looking for it. So it's really just Asta, and then these 2, maybe Jeopard. But when Fushuan comes out, it's rough, right? It's rough for these units, I'm not saying nobody is building them, by the way, before people jump me for anything. I'm not saying oh, no, there's no reason to build any of these units. They're all bad. I'm just saying, they're not as crazy when they're grouped together as the other characters, right? Himiko's no Don Hang, Trailblazer's no Luocha, Asta's no Silverwolf, Bronya, Hook is no, Kafka or anything, or Serval, right? But anyway, fun little video. Let me know what you think the best typings are in the comments. Rank them, 1 through, how many are there again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 1 through 7. If you want to give your reasonings, let me know. This is more of a fun video, so don't take it too seriously. This is a rough, I'd say guesstimate of what I think are the best typings. I might make one of these in the future just for the funny, but like I said, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe as always, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.